Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Canadian Shield. My name is Sterling, and I'm your host. The other day, Kapelos of CTV Question Period had Melissa Lantsman on, as well as the NDP finance critic, Don Davies, I believe his name is. I'll be honest with you, he probably should have avoided this. He doesn't come off looking very sharp. He kind of looks like he's out of his league a little bit, which can't really do well for their polling numbers, which are already pretty bad. However, when Kapelos turns her capability, and I'll be honest with you, I'm still the jury is still out on my opinion of Kapelos. Like, as it stands, they're CTV, and they fired a lot of people, and they shill for the corporations, and they shill for the federal government, and they say there's a lot of stuff that they don't cover so that they can make the government look good. However, I find that sometimes Kapelos doesn't care what your politics are. She's trying very hard to remain neutral. Is that on direction from the corporation? Is it just her opinion? Does she get trouble for it? I don't really know the answer to that. And a couple of interviews is not enough to determine, right? However, having said all of that, I think that it's nice when I see her try to go after Melissa Lantsman with the same scrutiny that she goes after everyone else. And Melissa Lantsman is, in fact, able to turn the tables and push it right back on her. It's not the first time that they've had that kind of exchange. And every time I've ever seen it, Melissa Lantsman shows that she's not to be pushed around, like she's not a pushover, you know? So before we get into it, I would encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. I'm trying to grow it, and I'm trying to, if there's 40 million Canadians, I would like to have 40 million subscribers. All right, let's get into it.
In the 1980s. But we've also called for things like a one-time excess profits tax on the oil and gas industry, who made $63 billion, highest in history in 2022.
How do you know that those extra taxes wouldn't be passed on to consumers, again further exacerbating the cost of living issues for them?
Well, you can make that argument about all taxes. And I think that if we put a 15% tax on profits over $1 billion on the financial sector in 2022, why wouldn't we do that to the oil and gas sector, whose profits dwarf what was made by the financial sector then?
Because the royalties made off of that sector contribute hugely to the federal coffers.
Well, it's a question of, oil and gas companies benefit enormously from public investment. The roads that the public pays for, the schools that educate their workers, all of the infrastructure that allows them to build and make profits. So we're just asking them to pay their fair share towards the infrastructure that provides the ability for them to make their profits. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Okay, a couple of really glaringly ridiculous things were said there by this gentleman. First of all, the infrastructure is put there so that the people can work, right? Company, you give the drilling rights that you then pay royalties to the various governments to. They refine it, process it, they got to move it to the region, and they don't need roadways and stop signs to do that. If you've ever been anywhere near an oil patch, most of the roads are dirt. When they get to where their people are living, when you get to where the wives and the husbands and the kids going to school and all that stuff are, well, then you put down asphalt because those people are trying to live their lives. But to say to yourself that somehow the oil and gas company is benefiting from the infrastructure so they can move their product to market is not accurate. It's simply not accurate. That's 98% of the reason why they use pipelines, so they can move their product to market and they don't need roads to do it. So this guy's just talking like he's living in some fantasy Hollywood version of what the oil and gas industry looks like. Now, the other part that shows, this is the finance critic who says, well, if we put taxes on finance, why don't we put taxes on the oil companies? Well, the oil company is paying profits out to its shareholders. The finance company is making its money off investments. So the idea is that if you put them at a cap, they will reinvest their money, because once it's reinvested, it's no longer a profit, right? If they say, oh, we made $1.1 billion, but then we took 400 million and we put it into this new investment, whatever that may be, all of a sudden it's not a $1.1 billion profit. It's only a $700 million profit. And the people in the finance industry know that. That's why they didn't say anything. That's why they didn't complain about it. They just said, fine, we'll just do what it is we're already doing, and we'll just take our $1 billion and we'll make some more money. Why this finance critic doesn't understand that is, I think that I just believe, now it's my opinion, that it seems that the NDP, they have only one tactic, and that's fear, right? They don't expect any person who's listening to them to be educated. They just want to scare them into it, right? So because on TV, all the finance guys got limousines, well, clearly then it's, must be something nefarious, right?
Ms. Lantsman, when you talk about the level of spending, we're looking at $53 billion over 6 years, 39 if you take into account anticipated, not yet realized, but anticipated savings. What would the Conservatives not spend that money on? Would it not be creating housing supply, not launching a national food program for kids or lunch program for kids, or not spending on defense?
Look, I think you're asking hypothetical questions. There is no food program. There is no pharmacare program. There is no dental care program. There's 8 dentists in all of Nova Scotia who have signed up for this program. None of these programs actually exist to help people. And it's for the NDP to get up in the House every single day and scream at the Prime Minister about why the cost of living is so high, why he's created this problem, and then enthusiastically support every single measure that continues to make the lives of every Canadian harder. I don't get it. I don't think their voters get it. I don't think Canadians get it. But I do think they're protecting their leader's pension, and I do think that they are protecting the Prime Minister from having the carbon tax election that we want.
I understand the point you're making, and we can ask Mr. Davies about that. I can ask Mr. Davies about that in a second. But my question is not hypothetical, because what they have baked into their spending plan is rolling out these programs, and some of them, like the Canada Child Benefit, like daycare, for example, are already in existence through agreements with the province.
We'll cut the $21 billion in consultants. We'll cut all of the waste.
So you're never going to hire a single consultant as a Conservative government, because you did a lot of that under the Harper government.
$21 billion in outside consultants when our public service has grown and our services are actually worse off is something that I think Canadians expect a responsible government to look at. We have debt servicing costs, meaning the interest that we pay on the debt, that are now higher than what we spend on health care in every single province. We think that's unacceptable, and I think most Canadians do too. Now, look, we're going to cut taxes for Canadians. We're going to make sure that our productivity is higher, that we're developing our resources to grow our economy, and you will see that plan in a platform in the next election. And if we can have that carbon tax election ahead of the time where Mr. Davies and his party are protecting the Prime Minister, we'll go for it.
Sizing where you feel the
So there you can see, first of all, that she didn't let Vasi Kapelos walk right over her. She didn't let her trick her. She had every response to all of the points that she was trying to make. However, the last thing that she said is really important, that we are going to grow the economy. Growing the economy will pay down the debt. We pay $54 million in servicing costs, means only interest. So if you think about your credit card where you owe $50, but you pay only $50, and then you find that the balance is increasing, you realize that that's happening, but in billions of dollars with the Canadian economy, with our money. So they talk about generational fairness, but is it really fair for our great grandkids to be having to pay down this, $100 billion, $200 billion debt that's being incurred right now? That doesn't seem to register with anybody. However, there's a simple fix, right? And that simple fix is the Walmart style or the Costco style of economy, right? Walmart, Costco, they sell things inexpensively, and yet they make a lot of money because they sell a lot of it. So when you put a lot of people to work, you don't have to charge them a lot of taxes. You can charge them less taxes, and you actually pay off more because they're generating more money. The idea that you can continually drain the economy of all of its excess funds and somehow you're going to tax that economy into growth is a horrible, horrible economic policy. It has never worked, and it never will work, because you need people to have extra money to spend to drive the economy, which gives people more jobs, which gives people more money, which gets the debt paid down. Anything else is only a recipe for disaster. The law of diminishing returns. And there has never been a socialist government in the history of mankind, or a Marxist government in the history of mankind, that has been able to turn their economy by taxing it. All of the successful economies are capitalist because they let their population earn money. And then because there's more and more jobs, there's more and more money. It's better to get $1 million from 1 million people than it is to get $10 million from one person. Now Vasti's going to start talking to them about the Liberal government, about the NDP government and its support of the Liberal Party and its blind support. And the things that this gentleman says, MP Davies, I think it is the absurdity. I mean, I'm telling you, it's wild.
Your party criticizing where you feel the government has fallen short. I believe at one point I've even heard Mr. Singh say that Mr. Trudeau has been a failure as Prime Minister, and yet the reason he remains Prime Minister is because of your party's support. How can you reconcile that for people watching right now?
Because we do something that is rare in politics. We keep our word.
Except for your word to the population, right? People that voted for you. That was your first commitment. Never mind some backroom deal. The people that voted for you, that's a commitment that you should have made, that you did make. And that should have taken precedent and priority over this.
Now, the big ticket items like dental care and pharmacare, by definition, took some time to develop. And Ms. Lantsman, with great respect, is totally wrong. They are real. There's 1.7...
But those dentists are not signing up with great respect. I asked Minister Holland multiple times. There's hardly any who have
There's no requirement to sign up now.
You, at the same time, look Canadians in the eye as a party and say the country is so much worse off. You can't buy a home. You can't afford the cost of living right now because of the leadership of the Liberal government. Is it worth it to keep them in power to get pharmacare, a little bit of pharmacare and dental care?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to complete the agreement that we made. We said we'd support this agreement till June 2025, this government, pardon me. So
you'll support the budget.
We want to carry through with those. You know, it's something that we're still evaluating.
But you have to, because you just said you'll keep your word on the agreement, which goes until June.
See, I mean, this guy is way out of his league. You know, like he should have said, I hurt my toe this morning and I can't make it in. I mean, on the one hand, he's saying that he believes the blind support of the Liberal government because we made an arrangement, and never mind the people that voted for us, never mind the millions of people that are suffering under this agreement that he made, trying to sound like he's all Mr. Honorable Pants, the most honest, the most honest politician in Capitol Hill, or Parliament Hill, excuse me. And at the same time, he has to support the budget no matter what, which puts us enormously back in debt.
But you also won't say whether you're supported or not, while at the same time saying you're going to keep up your end of the bargain to keep them in power until next year.
Well, look, Mr. Davies, you continue to pretend to oppose this government. While all of the NDP people who brought you here, you are serving your master to protect your leader's pension, and I think Canadians know that. Regardless, you are going to support this budget, and you might as well tell Canadians that here.
Does he have a plan?
We'll be happy for you to vote non-confidence in this government like you were sent here to do.
Oh, man. She just looks him right in the eye and rips the skin right off him, eh? Like, takes the bark off him or whatever, however that expression goes. Like, I think that she was holding back, like, on him a little bit too. Like, she didn't really want to rub the salt in too deep. Like, I just got the impression that if she hadn't been on TV, she probably would have told him right off, because the guy's talking all kinds of foolishness and all kinds of nonsense. He doesn't understand how economics work. He's the finance critic. He says that it doesn't matter to him that the people are suffering because they made a deal with the Liberal Party, but they don't know if they're going to support the budget, but they have to support the budget because they made a deal with the Liberal Party. I mean, I don't know about you, but that seems to me like a whole host of reasons why the NDP shouldn't receive any votes. I mean, you need to have leadership that's competent, not leadership that's driven by ideology. If the last 9 years has proven nothing to us, it should have proved that. It should prove that we need capable people, not people who are just going after their own little personal side projects and trying to make it and dressing it up like they're doing something as a crusader or as a champion of the people. Anyway, that's just my opinion. You can leave your opinion down in the comments. I'm going to wrap here. I appreciate you listening. Like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Tell all your friends. I'll talk to you next time.